Hello, Gothic Hippie summer wieners. Today I'm going to do my makeup while I share some spooky real life experiences that I had with you. And if you don't know me, my name is Fekete-Mustafa. I am half owner with my sister Tiara to Gothic Hippies Makeup Boutique. We specialize in putting the magic in the makeup and just making it very special and kind of with that spooky factor, hence Gothic Hippies, kind of like dark romance. And let me tell you something, I definitely need to go get a tan. I am so Casper white and none of my foundations really match properly, but that's okay. We're just gonna wing it. So yeah, so we are going to start with Tickle Me Elmo. So who remembers Tickle Me Elmo? Yes, I'm at that age. My son had a Tickle Me Elmo. Kind of had like overalls on, kind of reminded me of like a Chucky doll with that. But it would just be like, tickle me. And then like you would like tickle it and its legs and arms would kick and it would just be like, ha 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 ha. I filled in my brows off camera. You don't mind, right? My son loved his Tickle Me Elmo. He was like a baby though. He was still in a crib. I think he was like maybe a year old or something like that. Definitely. So this was back when I was with my son's dad, long time ago. My son is 24 now. So yeah. Watching TV in the living room, and I hear from the back room like something like, I don't know, some muffled like talking, but just my son is back there sleeping. So my ex and I start walking to the back of the hallway because my son was sleeping in the back room. Open the door and there's silence, and it's really dark. My son is sleeping, so I kind of like slowly move forward to where the crib was. No joke when I say, you know, that feeling you get in the pit of your stomach and you're just like so scared. So the Elmo is like sitting like this, because that's how like it would like sit like this, and its legs were like sprawled out. For some reason, that's what we automatically was paying attention to. That's what we were drawn to look at, was the Elmo. And I am dead serious when I tell you it went like this.
Tickle me.
No thank you. In all of my horror, my ex runs out the door, of course, like reasons why we're not together. Runs out the door, and I grab my son and book it after him to the living room and am in just like disbelief. I don't know. It totally could have been the batteries going out, because that's what they say toys do, but just it was, why in the middle of the night? Why like in the middle of the night in my son's crib, like such a horror movie scene. It was not cool, okay? I was so scared. I was like 17 years old. Yes, I was young when I had my son. So it just scared me even more so. This time that I'm about to tell you, was when I used to spend the night at my grandma's all the time. Like all of my cousins like lived there, and we were friends with like all the neighborhood kids. I told you guys all about all that in the video I did for my grandma. She sadly passed away. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to get sad. So we're going to talk about, you know, all these, you know, I mean, good times. My grandma definitely believed in the paranormal, and she had like a million stories, but here's mine. So I was on AOL in one of the chat rooms. Remember those days? That's like what the modem sound like when you would like start up AOL. I think I was like 13 or 14 at the time. I remember I was like staying up late. Every single other person was asleep in the house. I mean, I really wasn't on the chat lines to like, you know, meet anybody. I was so young. But I did like all the fonts and all that. Remember that? Like that was so much fun to type in all of those fonts, and you know how it was back then. And maybe you don't, maybe you're a younging on here right now, but that's how it was back then. Kind of how you would like chat with each other on Roblox now, like, you know, for fun. But there's always predators out there. I had people trying to message me and chat with me, and I'm like, nah, brah. So we would go to grandma's house. She had a like nice size backyard, and it had like a patio cover over it. And she had 2 trampolines for all of us kids. Normally grandma has like curtains on the sliding glass door back there, but at this time I remember vividly that she did not. So grandma came out and was like, okay, it's time to go to bed, because grandma was like really like safe with me. She always wanted me to be safe. And, you know, so I was like, no, grandma, just a little bit longer. And I promise I'll go to bed like in a little bit. And she's like, okay, Anna. She's my little Hungarian grandma. So I'm just, you know, online doing my thing, and I'm hearing boop, 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 boop. It sounds like footsteps running across the roof above me. And so I kind of froze in like horror, kind of like waiting to see if I hear it again. You know, one of those bimbos in the Scary Movie. So remember I told you how there's no drapes on the sliding glass door that leads to the backyard. Also those 2 trampolines that are right underneath the patio cover, because we used to jump off those to jump onto the trampoline, and grandma would get so mad, but we did that. So as I'm waiting to hear the thumping again, I am waiting to see if, you know, I hear the thumping coming this way and over to the sliding glass doorway, and I'm like, what if somebody like jumps off that patio onto the trampoline? I was just mortified. So the minute I hear that thumping again, I get up off my bootay and I run to my grandma's room and I go sleep in there. The next morning I tell my grandma, and she's like, yeah, probably. It was probably the ghost George that lives here. I'm like, oh, this George ghost. I think I talked about him once in another video. Like, George was a person who hung himself in the house. Like, he was a prior owner of the house. Yeah, so my little cousin, Alec, he used to talk to George all the time, and he was like 2 years old, and he'd be like, come on, George, walking around the tree in the front yard. And that was before we even knew about George. My grandma had asked, I don't even know who she asked, like somebody who was professional, who knew, you know, whatever. Anywho, she found out George hung himself in her garage. And that's where we used to sit and watch like Freddy Krueger and all that kind of stuff back in the day. We didn't know. And it was creepy in there. And that is story number 2 out of 4. This story, it involves my son again when he was like roughly 7 years old. So one night I was watching a scary movie with my son, because I don't shelter my kids from these things. They know what's real, they know what's not. So I don't mind when my kids see, you know, a scary movie. I grew up on them too. So the movie we were watching was The Strangers. So if you don't know that movie, that's where there are these 3 strangers who keep like pesterizing this couple who are honeymooning in a cabin. The one with Liv Tyler, she plays one of the victims. So in this movie, a lot of it is, like I said, they're pesterizing this couple that, you know, are honeymooning in this cabin. And they keep knocking on the doors, and like when they look out the window, there's nobody. And then eventually when they look out the window, it's like somebody in a mask. And I mean, I'm just going to say it because this movie's like old. There's no like spoilers, but there's a part where Liv Tyler's character is like, why are you doing this to us? And one of them said, because you were home. Anyway, so, you know, my son and I were pretty far into the movie already, like in that spook mood. And yeah, we hear the doorbell ring at our house, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. But there's something I didn't tell you guys, is that our doorbell had been broken since we moved in. Yeah. So at the time, we had no doorbell, but the doorbell was ringing. So my son and I did one of those, like, looked at each other with no words type of thing. And so me being that bimbo, I get up off the couch slowly. And my son's like, no, Mom, don't go, don't go. And, like, so the family room's, like, towards the back of the house. And there's, like, you have to go, like, kind of through the kitchen and then through a hallway. And then there's, like, the foyer and then the door at the very end. Literally walking so slow towards the door, like in a scary movie, as one would. So by the stairs off to the right, we had a pool table there. And the doorbell's getting louder and louder as I walk that way. And as I am getting closer to the pool table, I notice my husband's phone is there. And his alarm clock is a doorbell ringing. I mean, thank goodness, but why? So my son and I just start laughing. We're like, oh my gosh, why? Like, the craziest things just happen at the most inopportune time. Why? While we were watching that movie. Because that movie was all about doorbells ringing and knocks at the door. And why your alarm's going off at like 9 p.m. Anyway, it's a memory to put in the bucket that was like hilarious. It was so scary at the time, like when you're living in that moment. And I'm definitely not doing the right things. I mean, I guess when things come to my son, I turn into Mama Bear. Same thing with my daughter nowadays. She's 11. He's 24. This was like long before my daughter was born. But yeah, you'll do anything for your kids. I mean, if you're a good parent, you will. Okay, so we are going to be moving into the next freaky thing that's happened to me. And this one goes way back. I think I was like 5 or 6 myself. So I was asleep in my bedroom and I hear like a big boom. So I wake up and I look out the window and I'm dead serious. I'm not, one of these like spookster people who believe in like all of this stuff unless I see it myself, and I saw it myself. Outside of my window was like a man shape, like one of those like black like rimmed hats and a black trench coat, and there was my aunt's old car out front, but at least it looked like my aunt's car. And it had glowing eyes, this really long face, and it was just staring at me through the window, and boom, boom, boom on the hood of the car. And so, I was little, so I started screaming. I never like woke up and screamed. Like my parents said I was like the most quiet, easy child they had out of 4, like with that type of stuff. Like I did not wake up and scream and like do that kind of stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just wasn't me. So my mom walks in my room, actually like kind of just like busts into my room, and my dad like worked like graveyard shifts, so he wasn't there. But she's like, what's wrong? Because it just was like so not me. And I was still like this with my curtains like at the window. And I was like, there's a monster, and it's scary, and it's looking at me. And like, my mom like looked out the window and it was gone. The car was gone. Nothing was out there. And she's like, you were having a bad dream. And I was like, Mom, no, like I woke up. I remember waking up, like, and I was still in the position from when like I was looking out the window. And she's like, no, baby, you had like a bad dream. Like, and I'm like, no, I am awake. I did not wake up right now. Like, I have been sitting up. And just saying, my grandpa, he passed many years ago, but when he was passing, he did tell us to believe in everything. He worked Area 51, and we were like, like the grown-ups were like, believe in what? And he's like, everything. I don't know if I was supposed to say that. But it's okay because, the government already, like, admitted that they were aliens. So yeah, I'll never forget that experience. It was pretty scary. Like, I was like feeling fear from this creature. And those were 4 spooky experiences that have happened to me that stuck with me, as you can tell. I hope you enjoyed those stories, and I hope you enjoyed this makeup. For more like this, please subscribe to my channel, and I will dish you out a bunch of spooky stuff. Like, the categories are everywhere. It's a category here or there, just something spooky. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, it could be true crime, it could be real life experiences, whatever. Just subscribe. Thank you in advance. I post regularly on Tuesdays and sometimes in between. I definitely do some shorts here and there in between too. I have the most freaky dreams a person could ever have, so I share those. I've shared one actually, but I will share more with you guys. Yeah, they're like really creepy. They're always like demon stuff and whatnot. I feel like there's always something out to get me. And then I come here and share it with you guys. And make sure to let me know in the comments if you have experienced anything similar to these, or to share one of your spooky experiences with me, because I want to hear that I'm not the only one. So I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you're watching from. And yeah, I'll see you again next week.